All right, guys. I'm going to go ahead and present this Google Hangout. And I'm just going to talk a little bit about the Unit 6 resources that are available to you. Nobody else is here right now with questions, which is fine. Um, if you do have questions, you can please let me know. Message me on Schoology. Or post a question to the frequently asked questions in the Unit 6 folder. So I'm going to start just by kind of showing you what is available to you, and we'll talk a little bit about the quiz that I had available for you for today. So if you go into the AP Biology course and look in Extended Flex Learning, you're going to see a Unit 6 optional unit for AP test. This unit is optional because I'm not going to include it in my grade calculation for the course. However, it is definitely going to feature on the test that you will take in a few months. The Unit 6 material is almost certainly going to be present. In fact, I'm pretty sure that with only 2 FRQ questions, what they're going to do is they're going to look for broad questions. They're going to ask you to know something about most of the units between the 2 questions. So I'm going to be assigning FRQ questions that are going to allow you to practice that. So if you look at this Unit 6 folder, you're going to see 4 documents in there for right now. You're going to see an FRQ or frequently asked, not FRQ, a frequently asked questions discussion post where you can post questions that you think the answer to it might help others, and I will answer them there, or you can post a question, submit a question as a message, and I can answer it that way. The content can be learned through Khan Academy. They really have a great website that covers all of the major material. Now, I know that Khan Academy and learning by videos isn't the ideal way for all of you, but you can find all of the similar material in the textbooks. So let's look at the overview documents. So the third and fourth things on here are the unit overview documents. So if you click on 6A, which is our unit overview document. If you open it up, it's going to look a lot like our unit overviews that we've had all year. The slides and vocab won't matter so much because we're not going to be doing it in class, but as you go through, I have each of the different components that AP asks you to learn about, as well as the skills. So for instance, DNA and RNA structure 6.1, and then topic 6.3 were on the quiz that I assigned today, which I'll get to in a little bit. And 6.3 is about transcription and RNA processing. So if you look at this, it says, for instance, the main learning objective is to describe the mechanism by which genetic information flows from DNA to RNA to proteins. And then we have it broken down into more specific requests. So you're expected to understand that the sequence of RNA bases together with the structure of the RNA molecule determines the RNA function, right? So we understand that mRNA carries information from the DNA to the ribosome, that there's a distinct tRNA molecule. We have, information on how it undergoes enzyme regulated modification after it's produced. So after transcription, we have the addition of a poly A tail or a GTP cap. Introns and exons are removed from the transcribed gene. And those are probably all going to be new ideas to you. And you can get all that information from the Khan Academy website. They do a great job of not, they hit everything you need to know without giving you a lot of extra information. Now, normally in class, I would be assigning notes for this. And so I've included those at the bottom of each topic. So Paul Anderson on DNA and RNA part 1 with our worksheet. If you open the worksheets, they're going to look like the notes sheets that I've been giving you throughout the year. And the reason that these might be useful is that the AP test this year is open notes, which means you're going to be able to use any notes that you have on the assessment. In fact, you can use anything you want. AP is writing this test with the assumption that you are going to have other resources to look at. Now, there's a huge caveat there because it's a timed test. And because they're going to ask questions, they will ask questions that can't be answered with just oh, here's the definition of something. They're going to ask you to apply and interpret information. Or the question's going to be general enough that you can't just Google the answer and have an answer that's ready for the AP test. That means you're going to have to add some of your own understanding to it. So having notes that are quickly searchable and well organized and useful for you for reviewing and understanding material are going to be a great resource, because to be honest, you're not going to have time to Google search the answers to these questions as they come up on the test. There just won't be time to both get the answers figured out and to um, type out and create good quality answers. Now, I'll talk more about what I expect of the AP test as we get closer to it, but this is why it might be worth your time to use these sheets to create good quality notes on some of the key ideas here. So you've been using these throughout the course, and I've always expected and pushed you guys not to just use these as question answer sheets where you just fill out the answer, but instead that you are describing. Now these maybe you're making images or whatever. So anyway, these notes you probably already have finished up, and there's the part 1 DNA to RNA notes in there. But if you go back here, you'll see there's a part 2 worksheet, which we have not done yet. And a video from Paul Anderson from Bozeman Science. So if you like him better than Khan Academy, you can go there. It's just Khan Academy has some questions and answers within their course that I think are a little bit better. But you could use Khan Academy to take these notes. Either way, I believe you should take notes on Unit 6, and you should have them ready to use as a resource on the day of the AP test. In addition to sort of learning the main components. Okay, so we have Khan Academy link. We have a question and answer section in Schoology, or discussion in Schoology that you can ask me questions. We have the unit overview documents so that you can go and look and see what AP expects you to know about each of the different topics. Now, these are long, and I understand that there's a lot to look at in these documents, but it's worth your time to go through this and see if you know it. And then the final thing that I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be assigning within your AP classroom questions that you all can take as a way to learn more about, or to practice the skills of what you should be learning. So for instance, right now there is a Unit 6 Quiz 1 assessment in Schoology, or in the AP classroom. The reason I have to put it in there is because a lot of these questions aren't legally allowed to be distributed outside of their server, which you have to log into. These are old test questions. So these are past AP FRQ test questions that you guys can use to practice. And I'm giving you 2 questions at a time so that you can see, because my guess is that, well, they are long response questions, but my guess is they're going to give you 2 long free response questions. And long free response questions are usually worth between 6 and 10 points. So, a lot of times they require some kind of data manipulation or image interpretation, but not always. So this FRQ question asked, the first one asked you to explain how information is transfer, which is fundamental to all living things. Explain in detail how the transfer of information is accomplished. So you start with the fundamentals, which is that DNA becomes mRNA, which transfers to the ribosome, then tRNAs bring amino acids to produce a protein, right? That's the transfer of the information. We don't need to know anything past that point, because by then the information transfer has been completed. It is a function. It is a protein. That's the fundamentals, but if that was all you explained, that would only earn you 2 of the 6 possible points. Now, the other points are going to be earned by talking about things like introns and exons and how those are removed. Some of the enzymes involved in the production of the mRNA, that it's done in a that's built in a 5' to 3' direction, that there's a coding and a non-coding strand and that kind of thing. Once you've answered the questions, you should be able to get a scoring detail, which will explain to you how the assessment is scored. So here's the scoring guidelines, and this allows you to look at how you could earn points, right? So, so there was a maximum of 6 points here. Part one, there were 1, 2, 3, 10 different things you could have said to earn those 4 points, right? But a lot of this stuff is things that people might leave out from a complete description. So just, you can use this to evaluate your own readiness. You could also try taking this as a pre-assessment, and then you could go and learn from the Khan Academy site, and then you could come back to this and take that again. The second question on the assessment, so that question is just kind of a big overview. This one asks you to apply information in a new scenario. You're not expected to know anything about tryptophan or this diagram overall, but instead you're expected to apply what you understand about gene expression and the transfer of information as it relates to this gene pathway, or this pathway, which ultimately is going to result in some material called IAA, right? So they give you some other information here, and you read about that, and then there are a series of questions. You start by circling an arrow that represents the transcription on the template pathway, right? So where is transcription happening, right? Or identify the molecule that would be absent. There's questions about what would happen if you changed one of the base pairs in the codons. Gets into mutations. There's questions about feedback mechanisms, which is not something we've specifically covered already in this unit, but is something that you should understand, how doing one action affects another action, and they can start feeding back on one another. And then finally, there's a few questions that are more about ecology and evolutionary relationships. And this is a model that'll show you a little bit more what I expect the actual AP test this year to look like, where you're going to be getting some questions, and at first it might mostly be about Unit 6, but then there's going to be some stuff from other units in there. So I think you should go and try this. I'm going to be posting another one tonight. Tomorrow I'll be back here again at 3, unless I get a request to meet at a different time, because nobody came today. And I will review the questions that we asked that day, and answer any questions that you guys have overall. If you have specific topics you'd like me to review, like you're like, I don't understand introns and exons, or what is this poly A tail? Why do we need to know this? What is it about? Let me know that, and I'll run these on these daily meetings. Otherwise, I'm going to let you guys go and learn from Khan Academy as you'd like. All right. Well, that's that for introducing what we're doing now, and good luck, everybody, and let me know if you have questions.